Boxing fans, are you ready?
Welcome to Big Boys Boxing, where we're all about exactly that, the big boys. So without further ado,
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Kia ora team, and welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. So today, I'll let you know about 3 fights that are happening in Australia. This weekend, 2 of them on Friday, New Zealand and Australia time, and 1 kind of novelty heavyweight fight on Saturday night, New Zealand, Australia time, of course. So this first one is a heavyweight dust-up. It will be between Justice Huni and Kiki Leotelli. It's going to be a 10-round fight. It's going to be for 3 different titles. Only 2 of them worth mentioning though. The IBF Pan Pacific Heavyweight title and the WBO Oriental Heavyweight title. The other one is the Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation Heavyweight title. Insignificant, that one. So this could be interesting. So let's look into Justice first. So Justice JPH Huni is 6-0 currently. He's 23 years old. He's 6'4" with no registered reach. I think he's about 78-inch reach. His last 2 fights, he's taken O's. Last fight was in June of this year. He took the O of Joseph Goodall, who at the time was 8-0-1. And he also took the O of the rugby league player Paul Gallen, who was 11-0 with 1 draw at the time. Justice Huni's first professional fight was against Fainga Apilu for the Australian heavyweight title. Apilu is the guy who we've just seen stop Hemi Ahio in 5 rounds. So I think it's fair to say Justice Huni is a heavy favourite in this fight. He's got a lot of skill, a lot of speed, not the greatest power, but he's all go. So, looking into his opponent, Kiki Leotelli. He is 8-1 with 2 draws. There are no stats for his height and reach on BoxRec, but I know for a fact he is 6'4" and has about a 78-inch reach, so pretty much exactly the same size as Justice Huni. He may be slightly heavier though. He's 28 years of age and he's out of Hawke's Bay or Tauranga in New Zealand. So his last fight was against a nobody with a losing record of 2-13, but the fight before that he took on Dempsey McKean and he went the distance over 10 rounds. At the time he thought he won the fight. I thought it was competitive, but I did think Dempsey won. The draws on his record was the fight before he fought Dempsey. He fought Julius Long, the 7'2" monster, and yeah, that was the draw over 6 rounds. And his other draw was his very first professional fight against Daniel Tai. That was over 4 rounds. If you're from around New Zealand or Oceania area, you'll know who Daniel Tai is. Comes from a legendary combat sports family here in New Zealand. So that was a tough fight to take on your first professional fight. Hemi Ahio went the distance with Daniel Tai, and I believe so did Junior Farr. So he's a tough cookie. The rest of the names on his record aren't worth mentioning, but it's good to see Kiki getting out in New Zealand and trying to get his name out there a little more. Now, he's definitely the underdog in this fight. So I think this one's gonna go the distance. Kikito Latali is pretty durable. He can bang a bit. I don't think he's got that greater skills. He is ranked 4th in New Zealand out of the 21 heavyweights on BoxRec. Justice Huni is a very highly skilled fighter. Good feet, fast hands, good punch selection. He missed out on the Olympics due to injury, probably getting pushed a bit hard prior to the Olympics, and it is what it is. So we will see what happens, but yeah, I think this one's going to go to points, and Justice should win it reasonably comfortable, but you never know, this is heavyweight boxing. So moving on. So this one is a light heavyweight fight. It's also continuing the theme of New Zealand versus Australia. It's a 10-round fight, and it will be for the IBF Australian light heavyweight title. It will be between Jerome Pampalone and Faris Chevalier. So, looking into Jerome Pampalone, he is 14-0 with 7 KOs. He is 26 years old, 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. He hasn't fought much outside of New Zealand. I think he's fought once outside of New Zealand. But his last fight was a knockout in the first round. Prior to that was a 6th round knockout. And yeah, he's coming along nicely. Keep an eye on this guy. He comes out of the Isaac Peach gym. He spars with the likes of David Light, Andre Mikhailovich. They've got a good little group of fighters in that Isaac Peach gym at the moment. And I think it's fair to say that Jerome Pampalone should be a heavy favourite in this one. So let's look at his opponent. So Faris Chevalier is 13-2. He is 35 years old with no registered height and reach. I did see his last fight, and he looked kind of average size for a light heavyweight. He was a heavy favorite in his last fight. He took on Connor Wallace, Irish immigrant, and he got pretty much pieced up. It was a split decision in the end, and I do not know why. There's no way it should have been split. It was over 10 rounds. I had it 7-3 to Connor Wallace. However, this dude messed up my multi-bet. He was a heavy favourite with the bookies. There was a bit of buzz about him in Australia for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. He lost his very first professional fight. That was way back in 2012. He was born in France, but all of his fights have been in Australia. He's fought for national titles a couple of times and won, so he has held the Australian heavyweight national title. So we'll see what happens. I've definitely got Jerome Pampalone to win this fight. Chevalier is a southpaw, and he is quite slick with his movement and his feet. But in his last fight against Connor Wallace, he kind of did a Chris Colbert. He was getting hit a bit, so he stayed away for the rest of the fight. I honestly don't know how they scored it. A bloody split decision, but it is what it is. I'd like to see this guy knocked out. I don't like his style. And I think Jerome Pampalone could be the one to do that. We'll see what happens, but it's definitely an interesting fight. I'll be watching it. I will be doing a fight party on Discord with the fight streaming and the chat open so we can talk about it. So keep an eye on the community tab section on the YouTube channel here, and I'll also place the event on Discord so you can see, and if you click the interested button you'll get a notification when it starts. So if you haven't, get over to the Discord server and check it out. The link is in the description below. So this is that novelty fight I was talking about. Sonny Bill Williams and Mark Hunt are going to be getting it on in a heavyweight fight. It's only going to be 4 rounds, however. So I guess with Mark Hunt being over 40 now and he had retired, he didn't want to fight too many rounds. Sonny Bill Williams, you know, he's a part-time boxer. Really, he's a rugby player and a rugby league player, but he's been getting a little bit into boxing. So let's have a look at their stats. Sonny Bill Williams is 9-0. He only has 4 KOs. He's 37 years old. He's getting up there a bit in age. He's 6'3". They used to have him listed as 6'4". And I think he's about a 78-inch reach as well. He has been in the ring earlier this year against another rugby league player, Barry Hall. Oh, sorry, he was a Australian rules player. Different game. And he was in the ring last year as well against somebody that wasn't worth mentioning, and I can't pronounce the name either. Prior to that, it was way back in 2015 he was in the ring last against good old Chauncey Williver. And then before that was probably his best win over Franz Botha. That was an interesting fight. Sonny Bill was doing well. Initially, it was going to be a 12-round fight. And Sonny Bill was starting to look a bit worse for wear. Rounds 8, 9 and 10. Botha was starting to come on a little bit stronger. The old fella was saving himself for the later rounds, and then when the 10th round finished, they said that's the end of the fight. It's like they changed it on the spot because Sonny was getting a bit tired, but it is what it is, man. He's got a win over Franz Botha, and he was actually the New Zealand heavyweight champion. That was the New Zealand heavyweight championship belt against Franz Botha, so he did vacate that title later on, but it is what it is. Sonny Bill. Let's move on to his opponent. So Mark Hunt, as a boxer, is 0-2 with 1 draw. He is 5'10" tall. He's not a tall heavyweight, but as we know, he carries quite a bit of weight. He carries it okay. If he hits you, you get knocked the fuck out. He's 72-inch reach, and it doesn't say his age here, but he's now 48 years of age. Pretty long in the tooth. And I guess he's fighting for a bit of cash against a friend of his, Sonny Bill. He does know, and they are mates, so it's kind of like an exhibition, really, I guess, this fight, but it's still a listed professional belt. So Mark Hunt, his last fight was against Paul Gallen, and they gave a unanimous decision to Paul Gallen over 6 rounds. I thought it was a pretty close fight, and I thought even Mark Hunt probably won the fight, but it was a Paul Gallen show, so they couldn't have an old man beating a younger old man, and they gave the win to Paul Gallen. He's also fought a guy called Joe Askew. Don't know who the dude was. He was 8-0 at the time, but that was way back in 2000, at the turn of the century. That's freaky. And his first professional fight was against John Wyburn. Yeah, I don't know who this dude is. He was 3-6-0 at the time. But we all know about Mark Hunt as an MMA fighter. He's basically the king of the walkaway knockout when it came to UFC. He competed throughout combat sports all his life. That's all he knows how to do. He was a star in the K1. Yeah, anything to fight, he'll do it. But I don't think he should be doing this fight. I'm a little bit surprised that they've sanctioned it. A 37-year-old against a 48-year-old. So I'm picking Sonny Bill Williams to win this one on points, unless the referee stops it because Mark Hunt's taking too much punishment. I don't think Sonny Bill's got the power to knock out Mark Hunt. As you can tell by Sonny Bill's record, he's not a knockout artist. He likes to move and he likes to punch. Now, he has been over in the UK, or he had been while Joseph Parker was training for Derek Chisora. He was in camp with Andy Lee, who also had David Naika in there as well. So there was a few Kiwi boys in there mixing it up. I expect Joseph Parker will probably be at this fight because Mark Hunt is his cousin, and as I've just said, Sonny Bill's been one of his training partners, and that's not only in the UK. When Joseph was training over here in New Zealand prior to fights, Sonny Bill was also in his camp, and I believe Sonny's even been over to Vegas when he was training with Kevin Barry and got involved over there, so he gets around. But definitely I think this one will be a decision win for Sonny Bill Williams. Now, I'm not sure if this one's going to be televised. Let me check. There's no listed media right here, but they are saying it's pay-per-view in Australia, so it's likely something will pop up in other places in the world, so we shall see. So let us know your predictions for these three fights. I think the first two that I mentioned are very interesting, the Justice Huni and Kiki To'olatali, and also Jerome Pampalone and Faris Chevalier. Yeah, let us know. We get some conversation going, and like I said, don't miss out. I will be doing a fight party Friday night New Zealand time for the Huni v Leotali fight. So I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing, and I am out. So